Wow, what a sight from up here. And let me start off with a big thank you to our naval band from Wilhelmshaven that provides this wonderful music, and to our staff that has prepared this ceremony. Dear Excellencies, dear Minister of Defense Boris Pistorius, dear Prime Minister of Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, Mr. Schwesig, dear Vice Admiral Malter, Deputy Commander of Allied Maritime Command, dear Chief of Defense, Carsten Breuer, Admirals, Generals, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, distinguished guests, welcome on board. It's a great honor to stand in front of you today on this occasion as the German Navy will formally take over the function of Commander Task Force Baltic. In light of an ongoing war in Eastern Europe and resulting tensions in the Baltic region, NATO and its nations need to be ready to act in unity against an increasingly hostile Russia. Our collective strength is key to ensuring security and stability. Thus, this new National Tactical Maritime Headquarters with multinational participation marks another decisive step forward in jointly strengthening deterrence and defense in the Baltic Sea region. Especially in such an important year, NATO's 75th anniversary, and as my minister noted, with the recent accession of Finland and Sweden. From a naval point of view as well, longtime friends have become allies, and that's quite a dream. But back to this day. Today, the 21st of October, is a day of historical significance. It was on this day in 1805, during the Battle of Trafalgar, that naval tactics were completely redefined. And a committed band of brothers in arms achieved a great victory. And although times have changed, the lessons of leadership, of innovation, and the pursuit of a common effort against a grand challenge continue to guide us in our mission today. So today we are writing a new chapter in history. Leading is my key word here. With the German Navy and our partners having assumed the function of Commander Task Force Baltic, we will take on greater responsibility in the Baltic Sea region. After all, because the northern flank is where our roots and our regional responsibilities lie. The German Navy has specific expertise and a comprehensive capability for reconnaissance of the entire regional area of operations, both above and below the surface, from seabed to space. The formal establishment of CTF Baltic can be seen as a logical continuation of what began with the first Baltic Commanders Conference in 2015. We initiated this meeting format in order to promote direct cooperation between the chiefs of navies of NATO allies and partners in the Baltic Sea region. The reason was simple. You need to know people before you need people. This has paved the way for increased coordination over the years, and it resulted in a more accurate maritime situational picture, increased presence of allied assets, and more exercises as a visible deterrence in the Baltic Sea. Building on this level of coordination, we are now moving swiftly to command, thus going jointly into the lead with the inauguration of CTF Baltic. We are now ready to take on the respective tasks assigned to us by NATO. In addition to its core functions already mentioned today, this new headquarters will be responsible for the tactical development of NATO's regional plans. And its co-located Baltic Maritime Coordination Hub will coordinate maritime activities in general and synchronize a multitude of NATO and national exercises. Within the Baltic naval and maritime community, it will strengthen the flow of information and cooperation between NATO nations. Ladies and gentlemen, to give you a brief insight of how many people are serving here for our security and freedom every day, it will be up to 180 personnel during basic operations in peacetime, of which up to 60 are multinational contributions. The personnel total may expand to up to 240 personnel for large-scale exercises or in times of crisis or conflict. The German Maritime Forces Staff, DEUMAFOR, which has already been established at our Navy headquarters right here in Rostock, serves as the organizational core of CTF Baltic. And now, as we stand here today with every reason to be proud of our achievement of having reached the initial operating capability, we must also look forward to the tasks and responsibilities that lie ahead of us. And as our Minister of Defense has just said, today marks the beginning rather than the end of a process. CTF Baltic needs to be fit for the future. And this means refining processes and the battle rhythm too. To achieve full operational capability in 2025 already. The way towards this includes participation in the exercise Freezing Winds 24 and in the anti-submarine warfare activity Merlin 24, as well as the support of the Baltic Fortress and Battle of Kattegat war games. Later in 25, exercises Baltic operations and Northern Coast are also on the agenda. And finally, this will lead CTF Baltic to the certification by NATO during a command post exercise. In addition to this, the development of the tactical operational plan and its synchronization with the respective national plans will be a top priority. But besides all I've mentioned, and most importantly, this CTF Baltic needs to be ready to orchestrate and lead NATO's naval activities in the Baltic Sea region if it comes to the worst. Now, before I conclude, I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all nations involved. Without them, we would not have reached this important milestone, not just for the Baltic Sea region, but for all of our alliance. And therefore, I would like to especially thank Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Sweden, and the United Kingdom for their continued support with both personnel and time, 13-nation aligned. I would also like to thank those nations who did express an interest in joining but have yet to decide on their commitment. We are eagerly anticipating any contribution you would like to make to this headquarters. The sheer number of nations involved, extending beyond the Baltic Sea states, is clear proof that security in the region affects the whole alliance. And not without reason, because only together we can achieve it. United we stand, divided we fall. As we now proceed to the formal inauguration ceremony, where I will transfer the command of this new headquarters to Rear Admiral Stefan Heisch, let this day stand as a testimony to our shared commitment to a peaceful Baltic Sea, a commitment to safe and secure sea lines of communication as the cornerstone of the present and future peace and prosperity for all. Let the 21st of October be remembered not solely for battles of the past, but as a day when we stood together to embark with CTF Baltic on a new chapter of naval leadership and common responsibility. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, now follows the official handover of command.
Attention!
I hand over to you the command of Task Force Baltic.
Sir, I take over the command of Task Force Baltic.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, the Chief of Navy will now hand over the coat of arms. Distinguished guests, please rise for the national anthem. Guests are not required to salute. kindly invite the German Minister of Defense, the Minister President of the state Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, the German Chief of Defense, and the Comarco on stage for a few photos.
Staff at ease.
Wir dürfen weiterreden.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, we ask you to take your seats again. The ceremonial handover of Commander Tassos Baltic is now concluded. Now we will ask the press to proceed to the bus transfer outside the hall. Then the guests of honor will leave the Hansesaal first.